What is up, everyone? Welcome to my channel, Says Dividends, where each week I'll showcase my portfolio and I like to tackle different topics I feel that are important to not only us as dividend investors, but also life. As you can see right now, I'm at 248, which is an increase of $4 from last week. And that puts me at $252 from my goal of 500. Great week. And as far as my buys go, I have 12 shares of Main Street Capital, which is a REIT. Now that puts me at 100 shares, which was a mini goal that I had to create a solid foundation of monthly dividend income. I also have Realty Income Corp and LTC as my other two REITs that pay monthly in my portfolio. So I'm looking to bump those up as well. I have one share of AbbVie that's been bought this week, and that pushes that total to 13 in the portfolio. One share of GSK, GlaxoSmithKline Pharmaceutical Company, that hits the 15 share mark. Invesco, which is at 54 total. I have one share of Verizon bought this week. That gets me 13 shares in the portfolio. And I have one share of AT&T, which is my biggest holding at 207. So pretty good week as far as buys go. Not much capital put in, and a little dividend reinvestment as well allowed those buys to happen. Now on to the portfolio. Sitting at 63,225 overall in my portfolio with a market gain of 71.05. Earned dividends of almost 3,000. I'm sitting at 29.47, which is something I never would have thought I would have seen when I first started out. But it's a great feeling to know that I didn't work for any of that money. So it's truly passive, and it's great. Overall, you combine those two numbers and you get $10,052. Let's take a look at the week. I'm up 0.62%, overall gain of 386, almost 387 in dollars. So market gain 217, and earned dividends for the week at 169.28. I think when I hit the 50K mark in my portfolio, I started seeing the snowball effect really start taking place. Early on, you can get discouraged. I know when I first started and I'm seeing these dividends of like 79 cents and $1.24, 16 cents, stuff like that. I was like, geez, this is going to be a long journey. So you just got to stick in there and you got to be consistent. You got to create the habit of contributions and continuing to just grind it out, buying quality stocks, and sooner or later you'll start seeing the path open up, and so to speak. Another thing that helped me out is watching all you other guys who are also YouTubers who are transparent with your portfolios, and you talk about your dividend journeys. That really helped me out as far as dumping more money into mine, staying consistent, and things like that. So I just want to say I appreciate everybody. You may not know me, but I've been watching, okay? So you may see your view tally go up another notch. Most likely that view tally was me. So I would definitely be commenting more on other pages. I would definitely be subscribing to more pages now that I'm in the YouTube community, and I want to connect and network with everyone. I have 38 holdings across all these sectors here. I'm looking to hit the 45 mark as far as holdings go. To me, that's just the number that I like. Okay. I know there's people that have 25 shares, that have 30 shares. There's even I think I saw a blog. I can't remember what blog it was, but I think between him and his wife, they had 100 shares plus in their portfolio. So I think it just to each their own. There's no, one size fits all. I mean, you could talk to, one of your peers to getting advice from Warren Buffett. They will both tell you something different. But as long as you don't fall into the dividend yield trap where you find a high yield percentage and you buy stocks based on that, because a lot of times those are the ones that are the most volatile, even on their dividend side. So I learned that making a few investments early on. I was looking at the wrong stuff. Now I definitely do my research before I invest. And it really helped me out. So, those 45 shares will pretty much, I think, get me dividends almost every week. What I have right now is I have a couple of dead spots, a few dead spots where there's no dividend payouts. I want to see some activity almost every few days as far as dividends go. So that 45 number, I think, will get me there, but who knows? I get 45 shares. I may say, hey, 50 is a new number for me. And then you never know. There's a lot of, securities that I should be investing in, like Caterpillar, that I'm not. Okay. So yeah, let's take a look at the first quarter of the year. I did this on the last video. I just want to show it again. I had earned dividends of $720, which is amazing. $720 I haven't had to work for so far this year. You can't beat the passivity of dividend investing. I do have other investments going on, real estate, things like that. It's not as passive as we know, but this here is 100% passive. You just kind of peek at your portfolio and just make sure the companies are doing what they're supposed to do and there's no crazy news. And then what do you know? You get a dividend increase or 2 or 5 or 10 throughout your portfolio. So it's a great feeling to know that this is being built and it's going to pay me no matter if I put another dime in my portfolio. And I know us fellow dividend investors, we feel the same way. It's just a great feeling to have. And I hope more people get involved and start building out their own portfolio. So yeah, overall a good week. Guys, if you're new to this channel, each week I want to talk about different topics. And the topic for this week is adopting rich habits. And I used to have terrible habits. I used to watch TV all day. I would get drunk, hang out with the fellas and blah, 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 not doing anything really productive. And I was heading a different direction than I wanted to be. So over time, I got fed up, and then I realized that my habits were a detriment to my growth. And so I became an avid book reader, and I started watching a lot of documentaries and YouTube videos that were educational, informative. And those habits actually turned a lot around for me. And I've adopted a lot of habits that put me on the path to wealth. And like I said, I'm a pretty avid book reader. And one of the books that really stood out to me over the last couple years is Rich Habits by Tom Corley, The Daily Success Habits of Wealthy Individuals. If you haven't read this book, or if you don't know who Tom Corley is, he's a certified public accountant. He's worked with his clients over the years to help them become wealthy. And he's determined over time that rich people have wealth creating habits that allow them to earn their wealth that we can implement in our lives as well. we may not have the income or the wealth that these wealthy, clients and customers have that Tom, did business with, but it will put us in that direction to accumulate that wealth in our future. It's definitely better than going the other direction. Let me tell you that. So, Tom, I believe he's interviewed hundreds of people, hundreds of rich people, but he's also interviewed hundreds of poor people for research for this book. And that's what the great thing is about this book. So he has enough research by interviewing people on both sides of the spectrum to determine what the rich do and what the poor do. So the first habit is living within your means. Wealthy people avoid overspending by paying their future selves first. They save 20% of their net income and live on the remaining 80%. And that's highly important to know, because you have to save in order to be able to take advantage of opportunities when they come. A lot of times we are told to pay those bills, and then if there's anything left over, then you save some of that. But you get into a scarcity mindset, at least I did when that came about. I didn't want to be broke. So after I paid my bills and whatever was left over, I was almost afraid to save money. And the first person that I heard say, pay yourself first, was Robert Kiyosaki. And paying yourself first eliminates that mindset that scares you away from saving money after you pay your bills. So, there's a couple things that Tom also mentioned. Wealthy people spend no more than 15% of their income on food. Wealthy people limit their entertainment to 10%, which is big. There's probably people out there, I know I was one of them, who probably spent 60% on entertainment. They spend no more than 5% of their annual income on vacations. Definitely a big one is auto loans. Wealthy people spend no more than 5% of their income on auto loans. And the truly wealthy buy instead of leasing their vehicles. That's almost 94%, according to Tom Corley. And their assets are buying those luxuries, those liabilities. And that's a key thing that gets you to that wealth point, because those assets are doing the heavy lifting, and they will reward you with those liabilities that will, that we all want. These are habits we primarily pick up from our parents or a mentor in our lives, the bad habits or the good habits. So it's one of the two, to live below your means. How you was raised plays a big part on what kind of habits that you pick up. And one thing I noticed with poor people is they have a habit of spending 100% of their income. So no matter what, if they get a raise, they just inflate their lifestyle. So very big one here, live below your means as much as possible. So the next one is, rich people don't gamble. Every week, 77% of those who struggle financially play the lottery. And that's very important to understand the logic behind that. Tom believes that the poor people, they just can't break free because of their limiting beliefs. That if you're born poor, you'll stay poor. So their only way out is to play the lottery. And almost no successful people gamble consistently. Now, that's not saying they won't go to Vegas and play some blackjack, or they won't buy a lottery ticket. I mean, heck, it's in the billions or in the millions, multi-millions. Like, why wouldn't you spend a few dollars grabbing a lotto ticket? But the poor feel like that's their only way out in a lot of ways. At least the people that he interviewed, they really love the lottery. And it's easy to fall trap into that, because you can easily spend $10 on scratch offs and things like that. But what if you took those $10 that they spent each week, twice a week. I mean, let's say it's $50 a month, $100 a month. But if they put that in the S&P 500 or some Vanguard ETF, what kind of wealth would they have as opposed to throwing their money away in the lottery? And then a lot of times, you know, they play the lottery, they may win $20 on a scratch off. Then they take that 20 and then buy more tickets. So there's very limiting beliefs if you have a gambling mindset. And again, 77% of those who struggle financially play the lottery, and almost no successful people play the lottery. So the next one is goal setting. Do you set goals in life? Because the rich do. Every year, 70% of the wealthy pursue at least one major goal, and only 3% of those struggling to make ends meet set any goals. Goals have been so important in my life because prior to not setting any goals, I felt like I didn't have any direction. So rich people, successful people are all the same. They have goals in mind, and their habits either manifest or whatever, right? In order to pursue those goals. They know also that there's sacrifices that need to be made in order to reach these goals, but they're specific. That's the important thing. And it's written down or it's in their face in some way, because if you're not writing it down, if it's not in your face, it's just a wish. You hope something happens. I wish this will happen to me. But the successful people actually put a number on it. They actually put a date on it. Poor people have such limited beliefs already that it's hard for them to even create goals because their scarcity and limited mindset doesn't allow them to. Like, they already think they'll never be rich. So like, why would they create any financial goals? And that's the tough thing about lack of purpose in your life. There's a strong correlation between a lack of purpose, lack of goals. So the successful do that, the rich do that, the poor don't. So if you don't have any goals, if you don't have them written down, it's important to write them down. I mean, get a whiteboard, write them down, write them in a notepad, put them on your phone that you can set a reminder in your phone where every day that goes in your face. Whatever you need to do, just make sure you have it down somewhere that you can see it and get reminded just in case you start going off course. Last one I want to talk about is mentors. Finding such a teacher is one of the best and least painful ways to become rich. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Mentors will keep you in line. They will keep you focused. They will keep you accountable. They will attribute to your achievement and your success in whatever you're trying to do. Find somebody that you can relate with on whatever you're trying to pursue, whatever goals that you have set. Like we mentioned in the previous, you set those goals and you find mentorship on top of that. Mentors, as far as wealth, they will fast track you to accumulating wealth. They'll tell you what to do and what not to do, what to read, what not to read, what skills you need and what skills you don't need. They identify exactly what you need to be wildly successful, and they'll help you avoid making costly mistakes. So it's always a good thing to have the right people in your circle. Again, you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. A mentor doesn't even have to be alive. A mentor could be somebody who's passed away. It could be someone who's written a book. You don't have to know them personally. You could just follow that person. I have plenty of mentors that attribute to my mindset and success that I've never met before. So it's just a great thing to it's a must pretty much. So guys, that's all I just want to go over some of the rich habits from the book Rich Habits by Tom Corley. Again, if you want to read the book, you can easily find it on Amazon. I think I bought it for like $7 used or something like that on Amazon. And guys, again, I really appreciate you stopping by. I'm really working on improving my YouTube game. As you can see, this video was a little different. Each week, I'm going to try to sprinkle in new things that I learned over the week. And I'm just going to try to keep improving until I find a formula that works best for videos ongoing. But please share and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon.